from our Route 66 road trip. Getting those ghost town vibes, turning on Highway 40. We're headed to an incredible ghost town, Calico. Come along with us and join the adventure.
Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we are back in Calico Ghost Town, California, and we are going to head through on this very warm day. I'll tell you what, it is about 101 degrees today.
Calico was established in 1881, and it was the kind of place where people made dangerous journeys and sometimes against all odds to seek a better life for themselves and their families.
All right, just stopped in at the old Calico House Restaurant, and that was a good lunch. Got a little burger and a brew in there. A lot of fun and very retro, I guess, if you would, Old West. Inside the firehouse, there's an 1888 steam fire engine, number 543. And that is in beautiful condition. One thing about Calico is, of course, it has Knott's Berry Farm ties to Walter Knott's, and what it says right here. Calico lives again under the, of course, Knott's Berry Farm, Buena Park, California buildings shall be rebuilt on their original site. So Walter Knott's is dedicating Calico Ghost Town to the memory of the heroic silver miners who lived and toiled here. And so this marker represents that. And hear the train whistle blowing in the background. I'm going to see if we can get on that and take you on a train ride as well. So one thing about Calico is a lot of the artwork of the statues that are done here are the same ones that did the artwork or statues inside of Knott's Berry Farm.
Claude Bell's the sculptor's name, and he was an artist and sculptor at Knott's Berry Farm from 1947 through 1986.
More right here in the background with the old burrowing miner. And right over there is the Maggie mine tour, and we're going to go on that in just a little bit. First, we're going to go ahead and go on this Calico train. We have about 10 minutes before our train takes off. So we'll follow the tracks on in here. Little gift shop, and this is the mine tour entrance as well. So we'll get our tickets to go on the mine tour. Tremendous amount of pictures in here of the old mining operation. You know, Calico is a ghost town, but of course it is a little commercialized because they perfected it and tried to make it almost like an amusement park. So a lot of it is huge history. So we can't forget that. But in order to keep it going and preserve the way it is, they need to make a little revenue, and that's what they chose to do. What he's looking at. And a little arcade over here. Old Singin' Sam for $1. We'll sing you a song, playing the guitar. These huge buffalo heads. Over here is, of course, Calico Ghost Town Andy. Andy will tell you a story.
As I hear it, back in 1881, some gentlemen were sitting around town hall discussing names, and not liking any of them. Then one man said, "It's as pretty as a women's calico skirt." Right then and there, they knew they found the name, Calico. And it is true, these mountains are as colorful as a calico skirt.
There you have the fact of how Calico got its name. Another question you might be asking is, what did they mine in Calico?
Oh, you want to know what we dream of? Well, it was silver. Here in Calico, we have silver fever. Silver was discovered here in 1881. And in the 15 years that followed, over $86 million in high-grade ore was taken from the 10 major mines in the area. At one time, there's about 30 miles of tunnels within those Calico mountains.
And that is what they mined in Calico. And even in Calico Ghost Town, on the outside of the porch, they have the Zoltar. There's a few of these around. This one's in great condition. And a lot of the towns we go to, Boulder City and a few other ones, they always have a Zoltar. Kind of fun to have them read your fortune. See the old-time looking Calico Railroad right here. It's number 5. We'll be riding in the back. All right, we've just been informed that we can't stand, and if we fall out, or if anything else falls out, she's not going to stop the train, that she'll have to go back for us. So we're going to be sitting down the whole time, because I don't want to be sitting in the dirt waiting. So this train is from the 1950s. The original train actually ran on the mountains right over here. So this is just a reenactment and a nice train from the 1950s.
That's from the hot summers and cold winters here at Calico.
So those are the miners' cabins, where they were in Calico, up in the hills.
Of course, many miners stayed in boarding houses, mainly for modern conveniences, like home cooking. During the boom years, Calico's 10-square-mile mining district, themselves actually live in
2,000 people in Calico at one time. Quite the mining operation.
This looks like a good spot for some history. In 1881, one of the largest silver strikes in California occurred in a place named Calico, and we're in it. This rough and ready mining town grew almost overnight as miners dug into the multicolored mountains, which inspired its name for the town, and pulled out tons of silver. Now with over 500 mines and a combined output of over 20 million in a little over a decade, Calico became the place to go. Now the white rocks off in the distance you see there making a little pyramid, now they had those on the four corners of their claim. So all corners of the property they were mining, that was there. And if you were going to get on there and claim jump, then by God, you'd be shot. Now, of course, Calico grew rapidly thanks to its deposits of silver, but it also had borax and gold. And at one point, there were the 2,000 inhabitants, 500 mines, and also 22 saloons. But its decline was just as fast. Calico became a ghost town in 1907 due to the fact that silver dropped in price. Now you're going to see this white mound of rock off in the distance. I'll try to zoom in right there. That is the only residence left where miners used to stay, but I guess there was buildings all over this flat spot, and there was a lot of activity here as well. Now we're going to go visit the Maggie mine. But the Silver King mine was the big boy, and it's located about right off that last letter in Calico and 300 yards down.
Ore crusher called an aerostep.
This is an ore crusher right here.
Horse or mule to that crossbar and have it walk round and round, which caused the steel ball to drag over and crush the ore before it was taken to a processing mill. Of course, by the 1880s, this method was kind of old-fashioned, but it was still a great and jagged railroad was even built right up into Mule Canyon, making for a more efficient operation. Are from the Chinatown, where almost 40 Chinese lived and worked at Calico during the boom years. Amy did laundry for the miners at a couple of restaurants. Well, folks, we hope you had fun and maybe you learned a few things.
Now there's a good look at the old narrow gauge railroad that runs around Calico. Now we're going to head on in to the Maggie Mine Tour.
Welcome to the Maggie Mine, one of the most historic in Southern California. Before your journey into the mine, we'll give your eyes a chance to get accustomed to the dark. We used black light in their showcase to highlight what would otherwise be pretty bland-looking material. Look at the rainbow of color sprinkled over the samples in our showcase. The red spot represents calcite, and the green color there reveals the presence of zinc. You'll also see a sample of silver ore that brought prospectors to Calico in the first place.
So this tunnel was dug in 1880. And this is the real Maggie Mine Tunnel, the entrance. 1880 was a long time ago, and we sure hope the walls are still going to hold. That's an example of a man holding a high-pressure drill that used to drill out all the hard rock, because that's the kind of mining they did here, was hard rock mining. There's actually quite a bit of underground tunnel here. And the ore chutes that they had, you can see what the handles were that they pulled out when those chutes filled up. And that's how the silver, or the ore part of it came, the raw material came out of the mountain. You put it there, dump it into rail cars, and take it onto a rail car the size of what we were on. I think it was about a 32, 31 gauge railroad.
Here at the deepest portion of Dead Man's Drift, you can see early miners hard at work seeking that elusive silver vein. This part of the Maggie mine was given the name Dead Man's Drift because no mine timbers were used to support the roof and walls. This drift was cut through solid rock, and in more than 100 years of use, it's nearly identical to the way it looked when it was first blasted out of the mountain.
So they say that they used wooden pipes here because the metal pipes would erode too quickly. So wooden pipes were used throughout Calico. You saw that in the sample back there in that operation. And then as we get towards the end, I believe we're going to see another set of wooden pipes that they used here. Comes another example of the mining operation. This is the glory hole, $65,000 it says. And by today's standards, who knows what that amount of money would be in the millions, I'm sure. You can see examples of that operation right here. Now this is Mulcahy Brothers. The widow, Mrs. Catherine Mulcahy, and her 7 children arrived in Calico in looks like 1884. And the boys were Fred, John, Jim, and Maurice. And by the time the mining was dying out, John, Jim, and Maurice were still in Calico as miners. And so this is, of course, a example of them living in stone with an old potbelly stove, mining Calico. Sounds like a plane's getting ready to take off in here. They've got fans blowing at the other end. Big John. So that area there with Big John, it was a common sight here in the mine to see Big John carrying a sledgehammer and of course knocking all the bits into the rock to get ready to do that hard bed mining. Big John with a big sledgehammer. All right, here's another part. Dangerous mine shafts do not pass beyond this point. An old wooden pipe that they used to use to get water in the mines. Climbing our way out of the mine, there was quite a bit of stairs, especially in the heat. When you come out at the top, you're looking over Calico. Now this is one of the old miners' buildings or cabin. What they used to do, they would build cabins on the side of this rock and they would rent them out. And this is an example of where they used to stay. Old pioneer and mining day bed and breakfast. That was a restaurant last time we were here. And it wasn't open then and it's not open now, so maybe they're going to do some reconstruction on it or something. It's like there's a little photo opportunity over here. The bridge is closed, and I'm guessing the reason it's closed is because they had a lot of flooding and washing through here over the last couple weeks. So they probably want to make sure that this little walkway bridge is stable. That's the old church and schoolhouse right there. This is about as close as we can get. So Calico never disappoints, other than it's extremely hot. But we always have a great time here. And I can't wait to come back. I really want to take the grandkids on the train. It's kind of a fun little ride. And show them this old west town. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it today. There's a lot of places, little shops and sweet shops behind us here. As you can see. They're starting to close up. We got here a little late. There it is. The old horse-drawn hearse and the blacksmith shop. You know, I always said it is that the old blacksmith shop, of course, is like the modern day tire store. You weren't going anywhere without a blacksmith fixing your old wagon wheels or maybe shoeing your horse. that's what they did. And when it came to working on metal, I'm sure that the blacksmith had a lot to do with the iron on these old war cars as well. This is the old drugstore and saloon, 1884 to 1896. And that looks like one of the original buildings. Hello. One thing about this saloon and bar, I've been here before, a lot of the old weapons, but you never mess in a bar that has a shotgun hanging over the bartender. And in that old saloon, you can get yourself a cold beverage. Also, hot dogs and beer in an old west ghost town. Now they say there's only 5 buildings that are actually original here, but they've done a darn good job of making this back into what looks original as a ghost town. Except for that jail, I think that could look a little better, but it's still a jail. RX, that means drugstore. And there's the druggist, sitting there kind of relaxing. Looks like with a whiskey bottle. No wonder he's relaxed. And the way things used to be, from the barber shop to bacon, to saddle making, to dentistry, and the old spinning wheel. And the way you used to dry your britches next to the old wood stove, because that's the source of heat you had. And that is a Chinese laundry, where they did the laundry if you couldn't do it yourself. And who wouldn't want to soak in an old wooden bathtub? That's a beauty. I don't know how many shops are here in Calico that look amazing and original, but there sure is a lot to see that reminds you of the Old West. Even the old bucket brigade for putting out fires. There used to be a tram. They came up from the lower parking lot. Kind of a big deal because it worked. And people used to transfer from that lower parking lot on up. And it is right over this direction. I'll see if I can get a good view of it here, but I think this is the top where it used to come down from below. Could be wrong. This might be the wrong spot. But it went over this hillside and down below. Let's take a look on the other side and see if that's where it was. And there's the bust of Walter Knott, dedicating it to the Walter Knott family for Calico Ghost Town in appreciation for their gift of calico. Walter Knott. This looks like it was the area where the saloon would have been, but hey, you don't want to go drinking and go plowing off of this area. There it is over there. So that's where the tram was that came up right down there, you can see. That's the spot from the lower parking lot. And that tram would come all the way up the hillside. It would transfer people again from the lower lot on up. It was almost like a little carnival ride, if you will, bringing people up from that area. We'll go on the other side and get a better look. You kind of forget how big Calico is when you're walking around in 100+ degree heat. Because it is really warm. I couldn't tell you how many wagons are here, but I did a video a long time ago of all the wagons, pictures of all of them, and put that up. I'll try and share that at the end of this video. I guess that's appropriate. An Old West cowboy and cowgirl hats. Just about any style you'd like. And of course over here, candy store time. Time to get some sweets for sure. Purchased our sweets and on the way out. Okay, so this is the spot where the trolley came up. So right down here is where guests used to walk from the lower parking lot and take this trolley. So this is here. They're not really maintaining it that much, but there's stairs, I believe, that still go down. But you'll see this trolley came right up this hill, right over here. The last time, oh, there they are. There's the trolley cars right there where people used to sit and come up from the parking lot. And we go right up there. I wish that was still working. That'd be a lot of fun to go from the lower parking lot on up. Appears to be a hole where maybe they mined in the past. All right, on a hot day in Calico, we are going to conclude, as we've got just a few more things to walk out and see. But until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades. Time to go dry out somewhere because it is very humid and hot. We'll see you in the next one.